We want to get more perspective on this case. Joining us right now, NewsNation legal contributor Jesse Weber. Jesse, the first thing I'm thinking about is why when we see red flags like this guy having a mental health history, even as recently as this summer, getting treatment for hearing voices, why when he talked about threatening a location, a National Guard base, did law enforcement and mental health not communicate and better monitor this guy so something like this never would have happened?
It's a great question, and assuming for the moment that he is the shooter, because we keep saying that he's the person of interest, that's how he's been identified by law enforcement, not even official suspect yet. Maine does not have some of the strictest laws in the country regarding gun laws. So they don't have a ton of assault weapon regulations. They do not have red flag laws that would allow family members to petition for the removal of guns of someone. When we talk about yellow flag laws in Maine, only the police would have the ability to temporarily take someone's firearm away. And there's something that's not adding up here, because you're dealing with somebody who had the training. He was Army Reserve, had threatened to shoot up the National Guard, had been committed to a mental facility for 2 weeks over the summer. We are going to have to get more information about what happened. If the ball was dropped, what were these claims, these statements not taken seriously? That's going to happen later. I think first we have to determine who this person is, where he is, and what his involvement may be.
Yeah, to your point about laws being a little bit more lax, hunting, sports shooting is such a part of the culture in Maine and this part of the country. Jesse, at this hour, we're now talking about a miles-wide search across at least 3 different towns. How, take us into the minds of law enforcement right now, and also it's a very wooded area, rural part of the state. How do police go about searching this large of a scene?
Right. So obviously not part of the teams there, but I've covered these cases, unfortunately, too many times. And when you're dealing with this kind of environment, it provides its advantages and disadvantages. The shelter in place that has been put in order, where schools have been closed, businesses have been closed, blockades have been set up, that narrows the area of escape. So assuming that Robert Card is still in this area, that is going to be very difficult for him to move out of the area at this point. Now, you're going to have investigative analysts, you're going to have SWAT teams, you're going to have aerial units all scouring the area, search teams scouring these kind of forested areas as well to try to find him. But it's also going to be up to the public. And when I say that, obviously, we have to make sure that everybody takes the due caution and doesn't take matters into their own hands. But what they see and what they hear is going to be vital to law enforcement. And I should also tell you that Robert Card, I imagine, his whole history is being combed through by investigators right now. Any known contacts, any known locations that he might be. So that is what is probably happening behind the scenes to figure out where he might be. Because remember, if his car has been abandoned, how is he able to get from place to place? Does he have any help at this point? And that's going to be crucial, because time in these cases is so important to try to get this resolved as quickly as possible.
Jesse, is there any benefit to law enforcement calling him a person of interest versus a suspect at this early stage?
Yeah. Let's narrow that down. So when we say a person of interest, it's just somebody who may have information about the crime. A suspect is when the evidence leads to that as the perpetrator of the crime. There's some missing element that we may not know at this hour why they haven't classified him as a suspect. It can be upgraded. It may be upgraded in the next 30 minutes, next hour, next few hours. It may not. They are saying right now he may have information about what happened that could lead to a suspect. But it is curious, based on the images we have seen of him allegedly holding the rifle, by the all APB being put out for him, that he hasn't been classified as a suspect at this point, but they may not have enough evidence to classify him as that yet.
All right. Jesse Weber, thanks again for your legal insights. Obviously, it's a sensitive situation there. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.